Guess what time it is, and guess what day it is? It is 7 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, and I struggle with the daylight savings time. But through this pandemic, it is what it is. I'm over it. COVID, I'm not over that yet. On at the tail end of that. Thank God. So people are like, she doesn't look like she has COVID. Well, good. I don't want to look like I have COVID. That's why I drink my tea. So if I cough and mute myself, that's to keep you from hearing my COVID. So anyways, today is no exception to what any episode that I've talked about in terms of just giving you some prelims. But before we get to today's guest, who is an author of poetry, you'll hear more about him in just a bit. But for those of you who, if you missed this broadcast, of course, you can always go to Stories with Kishen on SoundCloud to listen to any podcast. You can listen to the podcast while you're working out, while you're walking, while you're just cleaning in the house. Or if you have time to just sit down on your lunch break, just go to Stories with Kishen or type in Stories with Kishen, and you can view the video broadcast. So on Saturday, earlier I said Friday, but on Saturday, this Saturday, which is the 17th, I believe. Yes, the 17th. Stories with Kishen will be coming on a little bit early with the live broadcast because I have a double header, 2 interviews back to back. The first interview will be with the author of this book, Led Astray: A Single Mother's Journey from Failure to Faith. This is by Patricia Ansary. She actually has been in a play where I actually interviewed the author of the book that became the play the day she left. And she said playing that role, I forget the name of her character, I think Mother Griggs or Sister Griggs, that really gave her the courage to move forward and write this book. So I'm pretty excited about interviewing her. This book is raw. This book is honest. This book is going to have you saying, what? But it's her truth and it's her story. And then afterwards, I interview her at 1 Eastern time. At 2:30, I will be interviewing Rodney Booker. Rodney Booker is a transplant from Grand Rapids to Atlanta, Grand Rapids, Michigan to Atlanta, Georgia. And he is actually going to be sharing his story of forgiveness and inspiration. When he was, I think, just right before his 18th birthday, he found out that his mother had been murdered. And it wasn't until the trial that he found out that his dad committed the murder. Which, needless to say, I don't necessarily know how I would respond to that. But nonetheless, after years, he was able to forgive his dad, and he started writing inspirational words of encouragement, that he's now working on a book, to publish a book with his material. So that's what's coming up on Saturday. If you don't hear anything else, Saturday, 1 o'clock and 2:30, 2 interviews back to back, Stories with Kishen. So without further ado, I've been talking about this little book of poetry, this little book that has so much information in it. It's called It Could Have Been So Easy. This is by Noah Baker. He is a young man who, after speaking with him, his perspective just really blew me away. And he'll go into that, and you'll get an idea of what that looked like for him and what that means as parents of young adults and the impact that it had on their lives. So I am going to bring to the broadcast, and if by any chance we see a beautiful black cat with the white bottom, that's his cat. I'm going to hopefully get her name right, Nymeria or Nine. So if she comes across, and we know that cats have this fixation with Zoom, so if she sits there, just receive her. Without further ado, I am going to now bring to the broadcast Noah Baker. Hey, Noah.
Hello, how are you?
I am well,
Good.
and I did see.
Oh, you saw her? Yeah, you
Yeah,
saw Nine Nine. She
yeah.
was here briefly,
I
just
saw
to be
her.
annoying.
You know what? She was there, and she was like, "I am here. There's nothing that you can do to make me leave."
Yep, story of my life.
And that's a good thing, because
hmm
at least you don't have to argue with them. You accept her for who she is, because you know she's not going to change.
Nope. Since I got her, she's
Oh,
been the exact same cat.
how
She's
old is she?
at this point, I think she is 2.5,
Okay,
roughly. I got her when she was about 7 months, so with her for about 2 years so far.
got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, just for my own edification,
hmm
I've heard this. Are cats really nocturnal?
Yeah, most definitely. Um, it'll be like 3, 4 in the morning, and I call them zoomies. She'll just start running around,
Oh my gosh.
just sprinting around with no care in the world, um, making as much noise as she wishes. So that has woken me up a number of times. Um, when she was a little baby, though, she used to like jump on like your feet, and then she used to like hop on the bed and jump on my feet. So it got to the point where I had to lock her out of my room. Um, Nowadays she doesn't do that though. I 95%. There's like 5% that she likes to remind me like, "Hey, don't sleep well," and then I'm like, "Oh, thank you." So,
See,
but I
I
love her.
I can't imagine being awakened out of my sleep to a cat pouncing on my feet.
You know what? I didn't either at first. Um, and then because I thought when I got her, she was gonna be like super chill, more of a lap cat almost, and she's been anything but. She doesn't even like being picked up for the most part. So
Really?
yeah, she'll let me pick her up for like a couple minutes at most, and then she'll be like, "Okay, that's enough. Put me down." So
Okay, okay, that's fair. So she wants you to know that she's there, but any affection after that, she's good.
very much so. She has her
Okay,
boundaries.
okay. Well, yep. I have kids and cats and dogs. I'm like, yeah, not for me. So Noah, let's talk a little bit about who you are before we get into this book of poetry that you have written.
hmm
So, what was life like growing up for you?
Um, I would say that life was very easy, I suppose. And I don't want to say that just because it's in the title. Um, I was given a lot of freedom as a
hmm
kid. I grew up in a subdivision in a cul-de-sac at that, full of kids all my age. So we all grew up friends with one another, playing outside with one another. My best friend to this day, I grew up with him. He lived just up the hill from me. So um, it was just very liberating, and being able to have the opportunity to think outside the box and to do what we wanted, let our minds wander, you know what I mean, explore. Um, so that's like when I think back to my childhood, that's the thing I think of the most.
Yeah.
Just that freedom. Um, and yeah.
So why is freedom the word that you use?
Um, I suppose sometimes I feel like some people aren't given that growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it could depend on where you live. You know, like if you live on, it could be as simple as you live on a main street, so you're not allowed to go onto the road. You know, because there's cars passing by. It could be a lot of things, um, or you could have grown up in a place where there weren't kids your age, or kids that you necessarily got along with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so being able to have that, and that creates a community. Like, you have the homeowners association. I don't know anything about that though. You have
Oh, like if
people,
you're in a
yeah, you have like
specific
a
subdivision.
subdivision.
Okay.
But for the kids don't care about that. The kids only care about each other and being able to create that community. Um, go outside every day, know your friends are going to be there. Um, play whatever you want to play until it gets dark out. Um, just being able to have that and being able to rejoice in that because, as you get older, you don't get those opportunities no more. You start to run out of time to do what you want. You have priorities and responsibilities. When you're a kid, you don't have those. And to be able to not have those responsibilities and to be able to share that with others and have fun, it's freedom is the only word I can use to express it, I think.
Yeah. And when we before, well, I guess a couple weeks ago when we first connected, you shared with me
Mm-hmm.
a situation when you were in sixth grade, learning to type, and then all of
Mm-hmm.
a sudden there was like this new age renaissance
Mm-hmm.
technology boom. So let's talk about that being in that moment. What
Right.
happened?
Yeah, so in sixth grade, we had like an exploratory block where we took like, I think it was like 6 week blocks where you took like a different class.
Hmm.
Um, so like, I think one of them was like home economics, learning how to like, sorry, I can't remember much of that class. Clearly it wasn't important. Moving on. um, the big one was typing. And
Hmm.
like I said last time we spoke, I was so thankful to have taken that class because for that, it truly opened the door for just a trillion different opportunities. Because I was no more than just a little kid in sixth grade, but being able to gain that skill early on at the start of this boom was so important because from there I started learning more about the internet and started learning about like different coding languages like HTML. That was the first one I really like looked into. Um, Being able to create your own websites, stuff like that, finding those resources. But it all started with learning how to type, and you could definitely make your way through without knowing exactly like the proper way to type, but having that, being able to quickly type up a paper in like 30 minutes, like just letting the fingers fly like you're playing the piano. um,
That's a good
just
analogy.
oh, thank you. um, Having that just made things so much easier for me. Not having that giant roadblock in front of me when
Yeah.
you want to do something, but you can't because it's almost intimidating. Um, and just getting better as time went on. I learned that in sixth grade, so I had most of most of middle school and all of high school to continue learning about computers in a place where all the resources I needed were just given to me. Um, it was just the best thing.
That's interesting because I remember my last year in college.
Hmm.
I refused. I did not want to, but I had to take a computer science class.
Yeah.
I took this class and everything was in DOS. And I had to put all this different stuff in to just get to one point, and
Hmm.
it was just overwhelming. I said, I will never use a computer ever in anything that I do. And here we are,
Yep. Here we
X
are.
amount of years, decades later, and you can't do anything without them.
Right.
What now, where do you fall in like the whole generational, like you have boomers, Xers,
Um,
Y, Z,
it's funny.
millennials?
Funny you bring that up because me and my friends were arguing about it the other day. Um, I was 96. So, depending on what internet source you look at, I'm either a millennial or like the very beginning of like Gen X. No. Um, is it Gen X? No.
No,
No.
I'm
Uh,
X.
what's what's the next one after
Y,
millennials?
Z,
Z? Gen Z?
Y, Z.
I forget. Um, but
Clearly,
I'm
you're
like
like, it's not that big a deal.
No, I mean we're in that middle stage.
Hmm.
Honestly, I feel like for a lot of people, especially if you're born like in the middle of a generation, it molded you.
Yeah.
Um, but I always like say this like being born like from like 95 to like I'd say like 94 to like 98 ish. We grew up in the beginning of our lives without much technology. I was in like sixth, seventh grade when MySpace got started. That was the first like really big social media. Um, and then from there, everything took off after that, especially after Facebook. But we have that knowledge or that those memories of before technology, but we were young enough to be able to learn technology like it's the back of our hand still. So it
Yeah.
gives us a really, I, I call it unique. I call it really cool perspective on things because you're able to kind of walk between those worlds almost.
Yeah.
So,
It- and and I want to wrap up with something that you said profoundly, but we're not there yet. So let's just talk about transitioning from like sixth grade and now you're 17 and now
hmm
you're in college. What did that all look like? So what just happened for you? Because even in your book,
hmm
you talk about some things. I mean, the
hmm
title of it, and let's just go here. So the title of it is It Could Have Been So Easy.
yep.
Where did you get this title from?
Um, so I actually went through a series of titles for this. Um, sorry, and it could have been so easy. Came from I was having a conversation um, with one of my friends who's actually also on the cover. It's the guy with the bucket hat.
You know
Um,
what? I wondered if
mhm,
this was you and some friends. I'm
Yep.
gonna put it up close for
Yeah.
you. See these guys right here? Where's my finger?
Yes.
There's one. How many? Is it three?
It's three of us.
Okay.
Um, we were in Cleveland at the time. Um, it's actually really funny. So it's gonna sound bad. I'm sorry. So what happened was
What happened was okay.
we it was early morning, I think on like a Tuesday or Wednesday, middle of the week. We all had classes, but um, one of them, I believe it was the girl in the middle, she hit us up in our group chat and was like, "So you guys trying to like hang out?" And then we were like, "Yeah, let's do that instead." um,
Wait, and you were in high school?
oh no, this was college at this
This
point. I'm
okay?
sorry.
College.
So we were in Cleveland, just having fun, and then one of my friends actually climbed up on a tree and snapped that pic while we were just
What?
clearly just chilling. Yeah. So, and I when I saw that picture, because I had this idea for years, I knew that's the picture that I wanted for my first book.
Wow.
So it could have been so easy came from a conversation I was having with him, where I kind of think about my life and the opportunities I had and some of the mistakes that I made, thinking like, yeah, like things could have been really easy. I could have made all the right choices. Like we could have gone to class this day, but we didn't. We got this memory, and we still talk about this day to this day. Um, so things could have been really easy, except that it wasn't. But that's okay because we got all these memories to have with us, and that's kind of what like life is about.
And that's what I thought. I said, well, maybe it's just his journey so far in
hmm
life. Um, but I want to just read. Is it
hmm
okay if I read part of it?
Go ahead.
Okay. And what I do, I read everything. I read the forward and everything else. But this is, I think, I don't know if it's a part of the forward. It's right before page one. It
hmm
says, I waited so long to grow up only to end up wanting to be a kid again.
hmm
I just want to wake up to a full breakfast, play outside all day, video games all night, rinse and repeat. Things were just so much easier before we all got older, before we started seeing life through a different lens or having responsibilities and commitments. I remember a sweet happiness day in and day out, that youthful naivety that is so precious. It's heartbreaking knowing how finite it truly is. This is deep.
Thank you.
This is deep for somebody who was born in 1996. I'm like, yeah.
Mhm.
And it's funny because I tell my kids before they got to the ages that they are, I
Yeah.
said, man, if I could just be like 5 again, I didn't have a
Mhm.
care in the world. I go to kindergarten and I know my ABCs and I can count to 100. And I was just all of that. But
Mhm.
now, and then I just talk about all that I've gone through.
Yeah.
So, what made you write the book? You
Um.
knew you were going to write because
Mhm.
you talk about that passion of yours.
Mhm. Um. So, what made me write the book? That's a good question. I suppose for years I'd always wanted to. Um. And I had actually gotten started on it years ago. I think in like 2017. But I was working off of a laptop, and then that laptop, the hard drive failed on it, and I lost all my information. So that sucked. I was able to recover a few pieces from it, and I think one or two of them are actually made the final cut in here. But I kind of almost gave up on it. Um, and then especially when the pandemic hit and we were in lockdown and such, um, my friends around me started pouring themselves into their own crafts.
Mm.
Um, and one thing about me, I think I get it from my father, is I'm pretty competitive and I'm a little bit of a sore loser. So um,
That
it kind
gene.
of became yeah, it kind of became a thing like you guys are going so far, you guys are doing what you want, you're pouring yourself into your projects and your art. I'm not going to be left behind. um, So that day, like I sat down and I was like, no, I'm actually gonna do this because like I've been flirting with the idea for years, kind of talking about it, all talk, no action.
Yeah.
So I sat down and I was like, no, I'm actually gonna do it this time. Learned Adobe Illustrator, and then yeah, just got to work and here we are.
So, as like I said, I read the forward.
Yeah.
I'm reading this, and in here you describe how you were just so excited to get started reading, and then all of a sudden you're like, I can't write, I can't think.
Hmm.
Why do you think that came about? Was it your own psyche, you think,
Hmm.
or okay,
Most definitely.
talk about that.
Um, I think it's a thing that a lot of artists, I won't even just say artists, a lot of people come into contact with, and it's like fear of
Mm,
failure.
mm,
Or a fear, especially specifically for artists, fear that your art won't be well received. Because to be an artist is to be very vulnerable.
mm-hmm,
No matter if you draw, if you take pictures, if you make film, or if you write, you're putting a very vulnerable part of yourself on display for everyone to see and to make their own opinions with. Um, so and that kind of goes back to what I was saying. I was all talk, no action. I would talk about wanting to do all this, and then when I sit down and I'm actually like, okay, I'm going to do it. All that comes back. You know what I mean? Comes back,
mm.
and then it's like, do you really want to do this? Are you sure you can do this? Um, so that's like what a big part of number one why it took so long was. Yeah, it says right here I decided I wanted to self-publish in 2016, um, and I didn't get around to it until 2020.
Yeah, because I'm like, that's some years later.
Yep. So I made the choice. Couldn't, I had that fear that gripped me for so long, and I guess it was the competitive side of me that forced me to finally get through it. But I also go on to say I think yeah that it is just a big leap of faith.
Yeah.
And I referenced the Into the Spider-Verse movie because I love that movie. Um,
Yeah, and I figured I'm like, okay, there it means something.
mhm.
My kids
Yes,
would understand it.
in the movie, the main character Miles, he grapples with the idea of being Spider-Man the whole movie, and he's told it's just a leap of faith. And there's this big moment where he jumps off from a building, um, and it's the leap of faith moment. He could shoot web and stuff. So he shoots a web finally and swings through, and he conquered that fear. But that's kind of how it felt, and I think that's what a lot of creators feel like when you're creating.
You know what? I think that's a perfect time to talk about your Spider-Man moment.
Mm-hmm.
If he's leaping across buildings,
Mm-hmm.
what do
Oh,
you know about that
yes. So
for your
um,
entertainment?
I think it was, I don't remember what year it was, but me um, and these two on the cover, among a couple of other friends, we would explore Cleveland, and that would include going up on buildings, looking out on the city from the rooftops. Um, at one point, we went into this like abandoned school, which was really really cool. Um, but it was also at the same time, especially climbing the buildings, terrifying. There was one moment where you had to like jump to get to the next level to keep going up, and I looked at them. I was like, "Yeah, I ain't doing that. I'm gonna meet y'all at the bottom." And I didn't do it. Like that was it for me. I was like, "Yeah, I'm done." But
So,
that's
how many stories were these buildings that you guys were just
um.
scaling?
So, are you familiar? Are you familiar with downtown Cleveland?
I've been there a
Okay.
couple times.
So, like Tower City, right?
No.
Okay, well, it's this like really big tower, and there's a building to the next of it. I don't know how many stories high we were, but it was at the point where you could you were above everything else in the city generally, except for Tower City, the Huntington Tower, and I think KeyBank Tower. Um, there was another time we were. I wonder if I can get in trouble for this. We were on top of a place called Playhouse Square. Oh yeah, we did get caught that one time. So I guess I
Who
already got.
caught you, like a security guard?
Yeah, they caught us and it was like, "Hey, get down." And we were like, all right."
Who
So,
just scales buildings?
well, it wasn't my idea. It was not my idea. It was theirs, and I was just down for the ride. Ended up in some situations where I was like, "Did I make the right choice agreeing to this?"
Uh,
But clearly, I guess we did. Um,
oh, you did. Let's just go
yeah,
scale some buildings.
no
Nobody's
big
going to
deal.
get hurt.
Oh,
We're
we weren't worried
jumping.
about that.
Oh my God.
When you're we were like what? We weren't 21 yet, so it wasn't like we could go out to the bars and such. We were just kids, um, having fun. And when you're a kid, I think it's kind of you get like a especially that like 17 to 20 range. You have like a
Yeah.
bigger than life like confidence. Like,
Yeah.
oh no, nothing's gonna happen to me. And then you start getting older, and then you wake up and your knee hurts or something like that. And you're like, okay, wait, maybe something, maybe this will catch up to me. So,
That is interesting.
mhm,
Um, because yeah, I remember those days thinking, okay, I'm invincible. Nothing's going to happen. I'm not worried about it. Oh, mom, dad, you guys are just way too overprotective. I
yeah,
got this. I got this. I was away at school and you weren't there, so I'm straight.
hmm
So what happened or what transpired? Even like reading about 1,000 miles
hmm
and just the journey, you know,
yeah.
talk about that a little bit.
1,000 miles. So this one was actually when I was talking about how I got started and then lost all my data. This is actually one of the pieces that I recovered
Ah,
because I actually, well, I wouldn't say recovered because I wrote it down first. Um, Side note: at this point, I only write with pencil and pen or pad and pen. I don't trust technology as much as I did. Um,
that's interesting.
yeah, at this point, I do all my writing in a journal or notebook. I have composition books, everything, but I always do it there before I move on to a computer. Um,
Smart.
yeah, don't want to lose anything anymore. So,
Yeah.
1,000 miles was really it was purely like reminiscence. I remember that I was talking with a couple of my friends. A lot of these were inspired from conversations. Um, and we were talking about how we probably would not have like come across one another or even have been friends with one another if it wasn't for all of us played the same sport. We played ultimate frisbee. um, but that's how we met.
Ultimate frisbee.
Yeah, it was completely weird that we met up that way because we were so very different. You know what I mean? Like normally we would not, our friend groups did not like mingle, you know?
Okay.
So like
Now, what
that's,
is ultimate frisbee? I mean, I know what regular frisbee is, but
it's like, so picture like football. So you have two end zones, right? The objective is to throw the frisbee to someone who catches it in the end zone. The thing is, when you have the frisbee, you can't move. So it's kind of it's as much running as soccer, um, but with the football like touchdowns, I suppose.
oh,
So
so is it like you if you have a frisbee, you're frozen
mhm.
until somebody catches it?
Yeah, if you have it, you can't move until you throw it and let go. Then you can move.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, you basically just pass it down the field until it gets to the end zone. But then obviously the other team is trying to stop that. So
Interesting. Okay.
that's
I'm
how we
learning a
met.
lot. Learning a lot.
Actually, so the summer after high school or senior year of high school, my friend Xavier hit us up. I was like, "Hey, do you guys want to play some Ultimate?" My dad's, I think he sounded like my dad's in town or something like that. Right? My cousins were in town, and I was like, "Ultimate Frisbee?" Like, no, dude, that's weird. Like, I ain't playing that. Then I went and I was like, "Wait, this is actually kind of fun." Because I'm not a fan of like contact sports. That wasn't for me. It's a
Yeah.
non-contact sport. I was like, okay, I can get with this. Um, you don't have to be like super in shape to play. Um, and I was like, perfect, because I'm not going to be doing much
Let's just
for
have
like
fun.
condition. Exactly. And
Okay.
that's really where we met and bonded. So with 1,000 miles, like that first line, like, did you ever think we'd get here? It was very much that like we're so close now. Like, did
Mm.
you ever think that it would become this way? And it kind of I kind of go with imagery of just driving down like a really long road, like you're on a road trip or something, um, where you're kind of questioning like, is it really worth all this? Like wherever our destination is it worth it? Um, and when you get there, like at the end, like for a goal we didn't achieve much, just some mileage and some memories.
Yeah.
Was that the goal? These memories. Um, so it's kind of questioning like, were all the memories worth it? Um, yeah,
So were they when you're scaling
absolutely,
buildings and then you're playing ultimate
absolutely.
frisbee? Okay.
Looking
Okay.
back now, I would not have traded it for the world. Like I could have said no. I could have blown them off, but then ignored them. But then we might not have been as close as we are today.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's absolutely worth it.
So one of the other poems
Hmm.
that really spoke to me was Butterflies. You laugh. Why do you laugh?
Butterflies is personal favorite.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
Please share. Because
um.
I mean, I, I became a part of this,
Mhm.
reading this from the smell of the cologne and, just the walk and the talk or the talk. And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay. So what,
Um.
talk about that.
Yeah. So butterflies actually, it's one of my personal favorites because of the way it kind of came together.
Hmm.
Each stanza was actually written at a different point of time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that first one was actually written like forever ago, years ago. And the whole goal, because I've always kind of, when I'm, reading books and such, and they talk about, oh, the butterflies in your stomach, right? I always thought it was kind of funny to think about, like
Hmm.
butterflies in your stomach. But that queasy feeling, but it's not so queasy that you're like like super uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like super nervous, and I love kind of writing about it. But the thing about it is that when you do have butterflies, you're not. Um, Sometimes you don't think straight almost, and that's what my goal here was. So when I did write it, I tried to write it almost as quickly as possible. Um, to not like I didn't try to like get caught up with the syllable count or what sounded right,
Mm.
because when you do have butterflies and you're talking to somebody, you're not worried about all that. You're just trying to talk, but you're just tripping over yourself, you know? So it was a personal favorite because of that. So the whole point of this is just that feeling you get when you're talking to somebody and you're um, tripping over yourself. You just want to like sound good, you know what I mean? You just want to make a good impression. It doesn't obviously in this context it is a little bit more romantic, but it happens in a trillion different scenarios, and I just love how it came together because for it to be all of these are years apart when they were written, and it
Which
came
just
together
blows me
flawlessly.
away.
Yeah.
I'm like, really?
Hmm.
I mean, but again, I was right there. So your way of writing
Hmm.
definitely causes me to get drawn in. And if I can get drawn into what you're writing, then that lets me know that, excuse me, in my opinion, it's good.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm just one person, but I've
Hmm.
interviewed lots of people, and I'm the books that I read that have been written. Some of them I can connect with, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Um, Even like this one, Love is Like an Egg,
Oh yes.
and it's very short,
Hmm.
but I'm like, yeah. So if you read this or read this, how you were thinking when you wrote this.
Hmm. Okay. It's actually okay. I'm sorry.
I know I'm putting you on the spot.
No, you're fine. So read it however. It was basically like this. It was like love is like an egg that you're balancing on a spoon, but the spoon is upside down and you're standing on a waterbed. It's very deadpan. It's very very short, very quick to the point. You're not like it's very yeah, just like that. Because the whole point was that like it's unpredictable. It's
Yeah.
not easy. Um,
Mm.
a lot of the rom coms and movies make it look super easy, like oh they're star-crossed lovers and such. No, it's it's not. I don't want to say it's like super hard, but it's not a walk in the park. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and that goes romantically, platonically, friendships, really, and any type of love. It's an egg. You don't want to break the egg, but you just happen to also be balancing on a spoon, but that spoon is also upside down, and you're standing on a waterbed. So it's not
It's
easy.
funny. I have a spoon,
Yeah.
but I don't have an egg, and I'm not. By the time, well, let's see. Maybe I can use the rock for my little plant
Maybe
here.
if you imagine you're on a waterbed while trying to balance that, and then
Well, there you have it.
yeah, there it is.
Well, this rock isn't.
Oh, see, there you go.
Yeah, but it's not. It has like a flat surface,
Oh,
and
let's see, you're
so
cheating.
it's not like you know a real
Hmm.
egg. But nonetheless, I get it.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense.
Hmm.
Um, and it seems like there's lots of um,
Hmm.
emotional emotions going on here about love and beauty and just different things like that. Would you consistently say these were written at different points in your life and they apply to what was happening in that moment, or are some of them related?
I would say so. Candy um, is actually a revised version of something I previously wrote, but the revised version does kind of go with Love is like an egg. Um, Butterflies in its entirety, I would say they're all kind of related together. Um, Although Butterflies is written at different points, when I put it all together, um, I wanted them all to be kind of following, to be related, I would say. And that's kind of why I sandwiched them in like each paragraph it separates like a different um, emotion, if that makes sense. So like the beginning was looking back on childhood, reminiscing. Then it hit a paragraph. Then it was love, romance, emotion, not emotion, but yeah, love and romance. Then it kind of goes into a little bit more self doubt and fear. Kind of gets a little bit more introspective as it goes on. So
Do you have a favorite poem?
um, yes and no.
Okay.
Um, One of my favorites is the concept of nothing. Um, the Renaissance was actually the original title of the book. The Renaissance being definite work in progress. Coincidentally, talking about being on rooftops. um,
Hey.
and but those are two of my big favorites, and then I would also say Voices. The very first one is a personal favorite.
Okay. And why are they your favorite?
So I'll start with the concept of nothing. Um, I would say it's where is it? Sorry, I
Which one?
lost it. The concept. Okay, I found it. Concept of nothing is one of my favorites because I do think this is purely. I think this has been more of a conceited feeling. I just
Oh,
thought I knocked it out the park with this one. um,
okay.
that was me. I always tell my friends like I have to remind you all I'm nice with the pen. Um, so that was me kind of doing that. I thought the I find myself thinking about not thinking about thinking about the absence of thought in order to think about what I thought was an idea of no. I was like, pat yourself on the back. That was pretty great. um, so that's why it's one of my favorites there. But I also think something that I love to think about in general is the concept of nothing, like trying to, because it's almost impossible to wrap your head around.
Yeah.
I'm kind of going to go off into weird territory here, but like trying to think about nothing. But to think about nothing, you can't think about thinking about nothing. So it's
Right.
really cool. So it's kind of what is nothing basically. And you can't think like nothing blackness because blackness you're thinking about the color black. Um,
Exactly.
so it kind of goes into it's just a snake eating its own tails. Like I said there, you just kind of go in a loop. Um, so it's just something I've always loved thinking about. I've thought about that the whole concept since I was really young. It's just something that's cool. The Renaissance, I would say this is one of my favorites because this it means so much to me because I remember that moment where me and my friends were sitting on the rooftop, and I was kind of thinking like it was very much like the world is our oyster. Um, we're gonna go out and do what we want to do. You know
Mm.
what I mean? Um, that and I went home that night and I belted this out. Um, this was written, I think this was written years ago. We were still kind of exploring. Um, and I love it for that reason. It's very much kind of an ode to that cover photo. Um, and
Interesting.
and with voices, um, it's kind of like when you think about those kids that used to go outside and play with, right? That last day that you all were outside playing, like nobody knew it was that last day, you know. Um, and that's kind of what this is talking about, like remembering those days that we just did whatever we want. We played. People got you fell, you scraped your knee. You played hide and seek, tag, whatever. Um, and then just thinking like what was that last day that happened? Um, like when did it happen, and why? It's almost kind of asking why don't we notice? You know what I mean? It's kind of like you get so caught up in the good times that you miss it, or you never know you're in the good times until the good times are past. Not calling my childhood the good times. I still have a life to live, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I get it though,
Hmm.
because I remember playing outside, the neighborhood
Yeah.
kids, and in front of our house is where the fire hydrant was.
Okay.
And so that was always home base
Mm-hmm.
when we played hide and seek
Always have
or
to have home
tag
base.
or
Yeah.
whatever. It was always in front of our house.
Hmm.
Um, and as soon as those street lights came on, I was pretty much at home because I was always at home.
All you
Hey,
have to do is turn around. You just have
right,
to go inside.
coming,
Hmm.
okay. But I remember when it ended, it seems like when we went to middle school, things changed. Um,
Yeah.
because middle school is like a bigger,
Hmm.
the next biggest, and then you're exposed to more people from other cultures and other experiences. And then
Yeah.
high school is even bigger, and then college is even bigger, and then there's life where it's like
Yeah.
limitless.
Right.
So what you as we wrap up,
Mhm.
and right before we do, I want you to be able to share your contact information if somebody wants to get a
Mhm.
copy of your book,
Okay.
um, because I have my copy.
Mhm.
So let's talk about one of the things that you shared as it relates to social media
Mhm.
and the I can't remember if you used the word cursed, how social media, maybe it wasn't cursed,
It's a
but
double-edged sword.
yeah, so
Mhm.
let's talk about that a little bit because you again have a unique perspective when you're like you said between generations. So
Mhm.
talk about that a little bit and the impact that it has on today's generation.
Yeah. So I say it's a double-edged sword because it's a valuable tool if used correctly. But the problem is, it's so easy to kind of fall into that trap where you're looking at it for validation, or
Mm,
you're looking at it and you're getting FOMO because you see other people. Sorry, you're seeing other people, post all their success stories, but you don't really know what's happening behind the scenes, or just I call it like information overload. Uh, Back at like, obviously I was a kid, but 25 plus years ago, if you wanted the news, you had to click on the TV, you had to go listen to the radio. But if you didn't want it, you can just turn those off. You do you. Nowadays, you open up your phone, you go to Facebook, you go to Twitter, you go to Instagram, everything that happened on all corners of the world, you're getting within seconds.
mm,
Um, and it's almost paralyzing because it's so much can cause you to be, it can cause you just to get like really dark thoughts, if that
mm,
makes sense.
mm.
Um, so for me, I used to have social media. Um, and at this point it's almost like it's too much, so I do my best to stay away from it,
Yeah,
because you have to protect your own mental health at the end of the day.
amen.
um, you you can use it as a tool, you can use it to market your products, but there are so many people where when you're behind a screen, when you're behind a keyboard, they'll say anything, because you it's different than looking at someone eye to eye and saying it. When you're behind the keyboard, you're not thinking about the consequences. And the thing about the internet is nothing ever gets deleted. And I think a lot of people forget that. No matter what, you could delete the post, but someone screenshot it. You know, you see so many celebrities getting in trouble now because of things that they said years ago. Um, so with social media, I call it a double-edged sword because it's arguably one of the greatest things ever made.
Yeah,
Period. On the flip side, it's a curse because you can so easily fall victim to it, where all you're looking for are likes, or to for laughs, just for people to be like, oh, look how they're doing great. Whole time you're not doing that well.
Wow. You know, that's deep because I know people who do that,
Mm-hmm.
who want they want to portray a lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
and people are like, "Oh my gosh." And I'm like,
Yep.
and I've posted different or made different posts that say, "Don't believe everything you see
Yep.
and don't believe everything that you hear."
Mm-hmm.
Because you can hear a noise and somebody will say it's one thing, but is it really? Because it could be something else.
Yeah.
Or somebody will say something, it's like, do you really, really know? So I agree. Social media, people do hide behind it.
Yeah.
And I guess that's good that somebody with your insight is like, you know what, this is too much. I'm going to use it as a tool and not for anything more and not
Mm-hmm.
get caught up in that. Because people do. They want to see how many likes they got,
Mm-hmm.
or, you know, how many times it was shared, or whatever the positive comments are or are not. And I've seen that where sometimes I'll just, like, if I'm following a celebrity
Yep.
and somebody will comment, and then I'll look to see, I'm like, oh my gosh, that was great. And then they have like 67 comments behind it. And I'm like, how do you see it that way? I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't get it, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's not for me to judge. And, you know, that's their opinion, whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent. I'm going to remain indifferent and not
Yeah.
become a part of that because it's just better not to.
Yep. You, that's what
Okay.
me and my friends say. It's, we call it the mind your business challenge, um, where you
I
just
like it.
mind your business.
Mind your business challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is that a challenge out there?
I think it's probably. I mean, probably there's a
Okay.
trillion challenges nowadays.
Okay. Well, I'll give you credit if I do something. Like, I'm going to put out the Noah A. Baker Mind Your Business challenge that you will not speak
Mm-hmm.
loudly or at all if it's not in a positive vein.
Yep.
Um, so, is there anything else that you want people to? Well, let me ask this. If somebody is interested in getting a copy of your book, because on the
Mm-hmm.
back it says, if things were different, it
Mm-hmm.
could have been so easy, is a series of reflections. So, this is a reflection over years of your short lived life, which
Mm-hmm.
you have plenty more to go. How do people get a copy of this book?
Yep. It is available on Amazon. All you have to do is look up. It could have been so easy. I believe it's like the first option that will show up. You'll see this. You won't see this. Sorry, I have the proof copy. I couldn't find my other one. Um, it'll be the white copy. It'll be right there. Or you could search Noah A. Baker. I do. My pen name is. I do include my middle initial, so you could look it up that way. But Amazon is the only place where you should be able to get it. If you see it anywhere else, let me know so I can put a stop to that.
Okay. And one last question, because I
Yep.
see this happening more. Why is everything lowercase now?
Um, for me, uh, this is shallow. Um, I think capital letters are ugly, so I prefer not to use them. I just think that they are unattractive to look at, and when I'm reading, I like looking at lowercase letters. Um, some
Okay.
people will say lowercase letters will invoke a more personal or softer tone, um, as opposed to like if you look at something in all caps. For me, though, it's strictly visual reasons. I just think capitals are ugly.
And you know, that's fine because
Hmm.
another book of poetry, that I have, I interviewed a guest,
Mhm.
and same deal. I'm like, why is everything lowercase? So I said, I'm going
Mhm.
to ask Noah. Maybe he can shed some light why this is a thing.
Yeah.
So all is well.
Yeah.
Okay, so if people want to get a copy of your book, they can go to Amazon. They
Yep.
can Google "It Could Have Been So Easy."
Hmm.
Noah A. Baker.
Yes.
Okay, if you could speak to, I don't know, maybe somebody who is a junior, next year is their senior year in high school, what advice would you give them?
Don't rush things. That is, I know it's cliche, um, but seriously, cherish uh, the moments that you have. Uh, hang out with your friends, especially if you guys are going off to different schools.
Mm,
Some of you guys are going across the country. You might not see them again, or next time you do see them, people change. You guys might not be as close as you were.
yeah,
So get those memories because when it's all said and done, what you're going to value most are the memories. It's not going to be about what you have. It's not going to be about where you are. It's going to be about what you remember. Um, yeah.
okay. Well, there you have it. Noah A. Baker, author of the book, It Could Have Been So, the book of poetry. It could have been so easy.
Yes.
So thank you, Noah, once again. If you are just catching the tail end of this, you will have to catch the replay or tune to SoundCloud. You'll get the audio version that you can listen to just anytime. Just
Hmm.
put your earbuds in, or you can type in or search Stories with Kishen on YouTube, and you will see this interview pop up at some point. So thank you again for tuning in. Thank you again, Noah. And I will see you all, everybody, on Saturday. Have a good night.